Right now at 9, it's been a watch and waiting game all evening long, but we're about to see strong to severe storms take hold through the rest of the night. We'll start breaking this down coming up.
Plus, we're heading to an Easter egg hunt at the First Baptist Church in Joplin. Also, a motorcycle group holding a Blessing of the Bikes event in Joplin. And
Ukraine digging in for a prolonged fight in the eastern part of the country. I'm Jeff Paul in Lviv, Ukraine. The details on the situation coming up.
You're watching the KOAM News at 9, and it starts right now. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Chris Warner. No thunderstorms in the area just yet, but that's about to change. We're going to meteorologist Nick Kelly for the latest.
Yeah, we'll dive into the storm tracker to see how we're doing in a moment, Chris. But first, a quick look at the quiet skies that we've seen throughout the day. And that's what really propelled temperatures from 58 this morning to a high of 80 degrees, above our normal high of 68 degrees. But this warm air is setting us up for some severe weather. You can see I've got the watch and warning map. Nothing's issued so far, but the Storm Prediction Center is just about ready to pull the trigger on what I think will be a severe thunderstorm watch, at least clipping northeast Oklahoma and southeast parts of Kansas. Well, if we get that watch within the newscast, we'll pass it along to you. But we're starting to see signs of moisture resulting in developing rain and storms out in north central parts of Oklahoma. Nothing near the surface yet, but we are beginning to see the signs of rain chances about to take off. Here's your look at the day planner for the day ahead, starting with those storms that will develop over the next few hours, then just continue to plow on through during the overnight hours. Main issues here, I think, will still be hail, wind, and heavy rainfall. I think once we get past 3 a.m., though, the bulk of the severe threat should be done, and we will see things gradually improve throughout the day and tomorrow. Once we get past the morning drive, we're going to focus on these rain chances pushing off toward the east. Partly sunny skies by tomorrow afternoon, highs near 63. But even though we got a severe threat for tonight, Chris, I've got another severe threat I'm eyeing by Tuesday. So we got a lot to break down in first full weather, rather, and we'll do just that coming up in a few.
All right, Nick, thank you. And don't forget, if you don't already have it, now is the time to download the Skywatch weather app. The latest forecast, severe weather alerts, and a lot more. And the best part is it's free in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Well, First Baptist Church in Joplin held their annual Scramble event. They're not necessarily scrambling eggs. It's a scramble for eggs. And these egg hunts were for all ages, even adults had the chance to get out there and hunt some eggs. And of course, there was food, games, inflatables, and fire trucks were all there for everyone to enjoy.
I love seeing our church come together and show the community how much we love them and take that message of the resurrection of Jesus out.
Now, Pastor Tiggle says this is the biggest turnout they've had for the scramble. Bondslaves of Joplin hosted an event to pray over local bikers. Bikers stood next to their bikes for a prayer and then received a blessing sticker. They got to get together at McClellan Park for fellowship music by Second Generation.
It's fellowship. It shows that we care. We're there if they need us for prayer. We're there if they need us anytime. They can reach out for us for anything, from family prayer to motorcycle accidents to anything they need.
This is Bondslave's first time hosting this event in Joplin. The SCCA hosted an event today for car enthusiasts. 75 cars raced to see if they had what it took to win first place in the heat. They raced around cones and were timed to how fast they made it through the course.
It's a great form of competition that lets drivers push their cars to the limits in a safe and controlled environment.
Now, anyone with a valid driver's license can compete at these races. Ukrainian fighters are gearing up for a potentially decisive showdown in the eastern part of the country, where Russian forces are now focused on securing the few gains they've made in their now more than month-long invasion. Meanwhile, those caught in the crossfire still trying to escape as evidence mounts of potential war crimes by the Russian military. Fox News correspondent Jeff Paul has the latest from Lviv.
A Ukrainian family arriving Sunday in Lviv, relieved to be safely out of the eastern half of the country. They say they just narrowly escaped a Russian rocket attack that killed dozens at the train station in Kramatorsk.
We arrived a few minutes after the explosion. If the first taxi came on time, we would have been at the epicenter.
Russia is focusing its military offensive in the east after withdrawing from the capital. The devastated city of Mariupol now under constant siege and nearly inaccessible to outside aid as Russia tightens its grip on the key Black Sea port.
We went there with buses. We moved. We try again and again. But unfortunately, the situation around Mariupol was too dangerous.
Ukrainian forces retaking territory ceded by the Russians are encountering a stark scene on the ground. In some suburbs around Kyiv, civilians have been lying dead in the street for days or weeks. Ukrainian authorities say they've collected evidence of more than 5,000 Russian war crimes. They want Moscow's leaders to be held accountable, even though many are protected by diplomatic immunity.
Putin is the main war criminal of 21st century. If prosecutor of International Criminal Court decided to prosecute them, they will be responsible for all their crimes.
Ukraine's prosecutor general says the European Union is now involved. In Lviv, Ukraine, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
We take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Farrell Patterson served in the Army during World War II. His hometown, Joplin. And we're proud to recognize Farrell Patterson, tonight's four-state hero. And remember, learn more about our other heroes or to nominate one of your own. You can do that anytime at KOAMNewsNow.com. After the forecast, how using some types of sugar substitutes could impact one vital organ in your body.
Low prices, easy.
We've had a fairly warm but dry Palm Sunday so far, but within the next few hours, Mother Nature is going to really shake things up as strong to severe storms start developing on top of the region. But for now, I do have this map working, our watches and warnings map on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, but we don't have anything out there right now. But I will tell you, the Storm Prediction Center is considering, very likely, putting out at least a severe thunderstorm watch that'll clip parts of our corners of Kansas and Oklahoma within the next hour or so. And if we see that come into effect during the newscast, it will be scrolling right along the bottom of your screen. And of course, we'll present it to you again in our second weather in the next half hour. But this was our sky throughout the course of the day. Partly sunny skies instead of more mostly cloudy skies, so that's what allowed temperatures to really soar throughout the course of the day. So far, nothing really popping up on the radar network yet. With that being said, the radars from Wichita and Tulsa picking up on higher moisture west of Ponca City. And I think that's the beginnings of clouds beginning to billow on up, and that will eventually be the beginning of our thunderstorm chances as we go into the rest of the night and early Monday morning. But we turned it quite a bit warmer compared to the upper 60s to near 70 we saw yesterday. We started in the upper 50s this morning and just took off right near 80 degrees this afternoon. Looking quiet still from 7th range line at 910 on the Sunday night. 72 in Joplin. The dew points in the mid 50s. Not screaming big severe weather, but that is certainly enough to sustain the thunderstorms that will get going within the next few hours. South-southwesterly wind for now at the surface at 5 to 15. You can clearly see that northwest wind in our far northwestern counties, and then that immediate shift out of the southwest. That is our cold front parked across our part of southeast Kansas. Out ahead of it, we're still seeing temperatures in the lower 70s. So far, again, the cold front itself parked right on top of the region. It's been keeping quiet so far, but this front is going to be the focal point for thunderstorms to get going within the next hour or so, certainly as a good bundle of upper level energy, not just coming from this upper low in eastern South Dakota, but additional energy coming out of Colorado. That's going to tap into our setup and introduce a severe threat, mainly a low severe threat, but you can see how it covers a good portion of the region for the rest of tonight. So pretty much between now and I think 3 a.m. is going to be the peak timing for any strong to severe storms. So far, I'm keeping hail and wind low and keeping the rain elevated. Those are our biggest threats so far. Maybe have to bump hail up a little bit if the hail sizes, I think, could get a little bit bigger. But due to the lack of moisture, I'm keeping that tornado threat very low. It's not zero, but you can tell Doug and I are not too concerned about that as we go through the course of the night. So there you go. The thunderstorms will get going over the next few hours. Cellular in nature first, scattered about ahead of the cold front, but as that front works on through, additional storms elevated, more of a hail and wind threat here will continue as we go through the overnight and as we get the morning drive underway. But I think once we get into the morning drive, any strong to severe storm chances will be done as we go throughout the rest of the day. Then we'll eventually see partly sunny skies as we go into tomorrow afternoon. So the day planner has Joplin not starting out at 54. I'll refresh these again for the next half hour, but I think highs will actually top out around 63 for tomorrow. So mild, but definitely cooler than the highs near 80 that we saw today. But this is not the only system that we're keeping a close eye on. We're quiet Tuesday morning and then pushing back near 80 once again as we go into Tuesday, but ahead of our next storm system where if we can bust through warm air luck, look at how these thunderstorms want to erupt out in our western counties. If that unfortunately continues to step up the wrong way, we've got another potent severe threat that we'll have to keep an eye on Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, and potentially into Wednesday morning. So quite a few alert days on the map. The first one mainly tomorrow morning, overnight, and then again Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. But temperatures mainly mild, although not terribly so. 63 tomorrow, 80 on Tuesday, staying in the lower to middle 60s through the rest of the week and into the Easter holiday weekend. But the Easter holiday weekend, Chris, is looking wet with on and off rain and thunderstorm chances lining up.
Nick, thank you. Still ahead. Nick, thank you. Still ahead, if you're not following some guidelines in how you feed your dogs, you could be risking their health. Using some types of sugar substitutes, it could end up affecting one vital organ in your body. Research to be presented at a Biochemistry and Molecular Biology annual meeting says some non-nutritive sweeteners may disrupt the detoxifying process in the liver by stopping a protein that helps carry toxins out. Non-nutritive sweeteners are often used in foods and drinks such as diet drinks and as compact packets for use. They also help the body utilize some blood pressure and antidepressant medications. The researchers say further analysis is needed to determine the substitute's safety. If you're not following some guidelines in how you feed your dogs, you could be risking their health. A study by a university in North Carolina found most U.S. pup owners are not aware of FDA feeding guidelines, risking their health by cross-contamination and bacterial diseases. Analysts surveyed more than 400 people regarding the regulations, finding less than 5% were aware of them, and only a third of dog owners wash their hands after feeding their pet, likely increasing risks for puppies with weak antibodies. Researchers recommended for a safer household, follow the FDA rules listed on their website. Nissan is shooting for new battery technology in its electric vehicles by the end of the decade. On Friday, the automaker said it will make solid-state batteries for use in future production of their electric car lineup. A pilot production line will be set up at its Yokohama plant by the 2024 fiscal year. These batteries could hold more power, last longer, and charge faster. Using solid-state batteries can also reduce the price. Nissan will use them in its cars and pickup trucks. The batteries could hit the market by 2028. Microsoft takes aggressive steps to shut down some Russian hackers aiming at Ukrainian organizations. The tech giant seized 7 domains belonging to Strontium or Fancy Bear by way of a court order. A Russian hacking group with ties to Russia's military. Microsoft says Russian agents were targeting Ukrainian media outlets, think tanks, and even U.S. and European Union government institutions. Microsoft previously nabbed 100 Fancy Bear domains. Fancy Bear has been linked to cyber attacks on the Democratic National Committee in 2016 and to target the U.S. election in 2020. YouTube has blocked Duma TV, a television channel that broadcasts from Russia's lower house of parliament. The action has met with anger from Russian officials. They say the world's most popular streaming service could face restrictions in retaliation. The Speaker of the Russian State Duma says YouTube's action is further proof of what he described as rights and freedom violations by Washington. The price of copper has thieves going to great lengths to get their hands on the metal. In Washington state, that means climbing up utility poles. Fox's Frankie Thompson reports.
It's a race to see who can cut down the old wires first. Puget Sound Energy says these power lines are retired and not energized, but the copper inside of them is why crews are racing to remove them before thieves do.
We've been just working 12 to 18-hour days trying to get all this stuff on the ground, and as fast as we can get it on the ground, they're on the other end of the job doing the same thing.
PSC says the crooks are targeting outdated transmission corridors in Renton. Police say the price for the metal wire has soared, so criminals are going to extreme lengths to get their hands on it.
The stuff we're wrecking out is almost 3 pounds a foot, so a foot of wire makes them $15. and these spans are averaging about 500 feet. So do that, and then there's 6 phases up there, so you multiply by 5 and multiply by 6, you're looking at almost $36,000 from this tower to that tower.
In most cases, thieves are climbing towers as high as 75 feet by hand and foot with nothing but a sawzall.
Once they get up there, most of them have no safety gear, no nothing, so they're just hanging on while they're trying to cut wire, which is crazy.
PSE says it's a safety hazard for not only the thieves, but for the crews due to equipment and structural damage. The company says we've taken proactive steps to prevent theft and ensure safety, such as hiring security, making sure gates, fences around equipment on the ground are secure and high voltage signs are posted. Although the lines are not energized, the damage compromises the safety of our structures and puts our crews working on these structures at risk.
2:30 in the morning, you hear banging around outside, and there's some guy up in a tower with a sawzall just going to town. So everyone's getting sick of it, so they're calling, because otherwise no one would know they're out there.
Coming up, an ethics watchdog group has asked the feds involved in the tax probe of Hunter Biden to begin a deeper investigation. An ethics watchdog group has asked the feds involved in the tax probe of Hunter Biden to include donations the University of Pennsylvania's Biden Center received from China in its investigation. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has the story.
The National Legal and Policy Center, which is an ethics watchdog group, wants to know the precise source of over $22 million in anonymous donations made. They state that in total from 2013 to 2019, the University of Pennsylvania received more than $67 million from China, and a large portion of that came around the time they say that the Penn Biden Center was opening up here in D.C. The NLPC noted that all gifts over $250,000 must disclose foreign ownership, and if it was earmarked to promote Chinese interest, then the donations would trigger registration as a foreign agent. The NLPC wants to see these transactions included in the federal tax probe of Hunter Biden. Chairman Peter Flaherty had strong words, quote, "Hunter Biden did not act alone in a crack-induced fog. He was part of a network of individuals and institutions that received millions from foreign interests." The federal investigation into Hunter Biden's foreign dealings has gained speed in recent weeks. Prosecutors have been seeking grand jury testimony, and according to what a source told the New York Post, the questioning of one witness may pull President Biden closer to the investigation. Here's Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley on why some media outlets are just now giving this story space.
I think the reason is that there is a real chance that the president's son could be indicted in Delaware, and that possibility has really forced the hand of the mainstream media. They have been bearing the story for almost 2 years.
Earlier this month, the Washington Post and New York Times confirmed what the New York Post already had in 2020, that the Hunter Biden laptop existed and that the president's son and brother profited from a deal with a Chinese energy conglomerate. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
We're wrapping up this half hour of the news at 9 with the USPS unveiling a special stamp to honor a late author. The U.S. Postal Service unveiled a forever stamp honoring the late author and illustrator Shel Silverstein. The stamp features artwork from his classic 1964 children's book, The Giving Tree. A dedication was held Friday at Darwin Elementary School in Chicago, where Silverstein went to grade school. In addition to children's books, he wrote and illustrated books for adults and wrote and recorded songs and wrote hits for others. Silverstein was born in 1930 and passed in 1999. We've got 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Up first, a shooting at a birthday party in Indianapolis left at least one person dead and 5 others injured. And a fire battalion chief says a Home Depot in San Jose is, quote, pretty much a total loss. Welcome back. A shooting at a birthday party in Indianapolis left at least one person dead and 5 others injured early Sunday morning. According to police, the shooting took place just after 3 a.m. at an event hall hosting a birthday party. They believe a fight between guests at the party could be what led to the shooting, but are still gathering evidence to confirm. Upon arrival, officers found one man dead inside the building. 5 other individuals were found and rushed to nearby hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. Police also stated gunfire took place inside and outside the building, reporting at least 1 car was hit by gunfire. A fire battalion chief says a Home Depot in San Jose, California is, quote, pretty much a total loss. After a 5-alarm fire Saturday night, San Jose Fire Department Battalion Chief Brad Cloutier says the roof is collapsed from almost the entire structure. The store, of course, sells lumber, paint, propane tanks, and other highly combustible and noxious materials. No word on how the fire started and no reports of injuries. Voting for the first round of presidential elections in France is underway today. President Emmanuel Macron's biggest threat currently in this election is far-right candidate Marine Le Pen, whose campaign has been gaining steam recently. While Macron's support has been dwindling, largely due to the president's focus on his unpopular proposal to increase the retirement age, as well as France's soaring prices thanks to inflation. President Macron was seen chatting with election officials after he and his wife cast their votes. Palm Sunday celebrations kicking off in Jerusalem. Thousands of Christians took part in the holiday this year. A nice change after 2 years of disruptions due to travel restrictions thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. Christian tourists finally starting to return to the Holy Land, celebrating the start of Holy Week. Worshippers were seen carrying palm fronds and olive branches as marched through the city. Pakistan's political opposition has ousted the country's embattled prime minister in a no-confidence vote that took place on Saturday. The opposition prevailed after several of Imran Khan's allies and a key coalition party turned their backs on him. Members of the new government span the political spectrum from the left to the radically religious. The head of one of the largest parties, the Pakistani Muslim League, is taking over as prime minister. Anticipating his loss, Khan has called on his supporters to stage rallies nationwide on Sunday. If Khan gets a big turnout of supporters, he may try to keep the momentum of street protest as a way to pressure Parliament to hold early elections. Concern is growing that migrant numbers at the southern border could explode once President Biden ends Title 42 next month. The Trump-era policy barred many migrants from entering the country during the pandemic, and some members of the president's own party are now pushing back on his decision. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has that story from the White House.
Border Patrol arrests of migrants reached an all-time high last year, which is the reason some lawmakers want to keep a Trump-era public health measure. Here's Tony Gonzalez, a Republican congressman from Texas.
A year plus with the Biden administration, they won't listen to anybody. They don't really care about what's happening on the border. It's terrible to see, my communities are on the front lines.
President Biden's decision to end the health measure that has turned away 1.7 million migrants over the past 2 years has many in Congress concerned even more will attempt to come to the U.S. illegally once the policy ends next month. The measure, known as Title 42, dates back to World War II and gave the Surgeon General, later the CDC, the authority to stop migrants from entering the country over fears of spreading disease. It was resurrected during the Trump administration at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. A potential vote on Title 42 in the Senate would likely pass because at least 8 Democrats have signaled they support it. Fox News' Peter Doocy asked Jen Psaki here at the White House why migrants are given free smartphones after being detained.
We have a range of means of tracking individuals who irregularly migrate to the country in order to ensure that they are meeting their notice to appear obligations and that they are appearing in court when they should appear in court. Phones is one of them.
President Biden left for Delaware Saturday afternoon. Right now, there's no plans for him to visit the southern border. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
A little later on the news at 9, Capitol Hill in mourning this weekend.
A eulogy to a furry friend on Capitol Hill. I'm Chad Pergram in Washington. More on this story coming up.
We've been watching and waiting to see storms eventually start to erupt, but so far we've been keeping things quiet, and that's just been the overall theme for our warm but dry Palm Sunday all across the area. This is the latest look at watches and warnings. There's still nothing out there, but again, the Storm Prediction Center anytime now will put out at least a severe thunderstorm watch that will clip parts of southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma, but we're looking good still for the time being, so we'll consider that certainly good news. And just despite passing cloud cover throughout the day, it was generally partly sunny, and that did not stop temperatures from pushing near 80 across the entire region. The radar has been fairly quiet overall, but you could see some rain echoes popping up around the Harry Truman Reservoir. Additional moisture getting its act together out in north central Oklahoma, and I even noticed a few little echoes try to get together right around, let's say south of Girard, north of Columbus. But all is quiet so far, but that is going to change as we go through the overnight hours and into our Monday morning. As far as highs go, we hit 70 degrees just about across the entire region yesterday. Upper 50s this morning. That's the best that we could do to cool things down before. We saw highs push into the upper 70s to near 80 this afternoon. Still looking quiet for 7th range line. Still mild to 72 with a south wind at about 15 miles per hour. That dew point, though, it's sitting in the mid 50s. We're not too concerned about this number because if this is a little bit higher, we probably have to really ramp up our severe weather chances. But numbers like that, it's not screaming like a big severe weather setup tonight, but it is going to support thunderstorm chances as they do start developing. Along and ahead of our cold front, you can clearly point it out with the northwest winds quickly switching around out of the southwest. If you're ahead of that front, you are still in the lower 70s right now with the cooler temperatures trying to filter in already in our far northwestern counties. But it is going to be right along the cold front that's parked right on top of the area. That's going to be the focal point for thunderstorms to get going as we go through the rest of the night. Not only that, we've got an upper level wave working across eastern South Dakota, and additional upper level energy coming out of Utah and Colorado. All of that will come into play to really ramp up thunderstorm chances over the next few hours, and they will unfortunately have to pose a severe threat. It's a low severe threat, but between now and 3 a.m. we'll keep an eye on these storms with high wind, heavy rainfall, and I did have to elevate the large hail threat a little bit just based on how cool it is upstairs as these thunderstorms develop. I wouldn't be surprised if we had hail sizes range between quarters and maybe as large as golf balls, something I'm watching closely as we go into the rest of the late night hours. Here we go. By 11 o'clock, you can see the future track wanting to get those thunderstorms going. Could be a little bit earlier, but it's got the general right idea. Scattered in nature as they get going, then we'll just see clusters of storms right along the cold front and even behind the cold front. But once we're talking about storms behind the cold front, this is primarily going to be a heavy rainmaker, a wind maker, and some hail as well up until about 3 a.m. Then I think as we get the morning drive underway, we're going to be in the process of clearing these rain chances out. In fact, by the end of the afternoon ahead of us, I think we're dry during the rest of the day, and we're going to see temperatures at least work back into mild territory. 53 in the morning, 58 by noon. Highs are 63 in general across much of the region. I see us staying quiet Monday night going into Tuesday morning. But then, ahead of our next storm system on Tuesday, we're going to have highs pushing near 80. Warm air upstairs, keeping us quiet for much of the day, but the future track here wants that warm air aloft to break, and that could allow for very vicious thunderstorms to develop. If that is still in the cards for us by Tuesday, we've got another severe threat and maybe a higher severe threat that Doug and I are certainly going to keep a close eye on. As far as what rain to expect over the next day or so, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch on the low end to maybe 1.5 inches, so certainly can't rule out heavy pockets of rain as these storms get going overnight. That's why we have the alert day out primarily for Monday morning and then for Tuesday as well as we watch the afternoon thunderstorm chances closely. 63 tomorrow, 80 on Tuesday. We got additional rain chances by the Easter holiday weekend, Chris, but we'll keep things mild through the rest of the week with highs in the 60s.
Nick, thank you. Nick, thank you. Coming up in sports, a former Missouri Southern athlete takes a local coaching position. Plus, Pitt State aims for a win on Senior Day. Danny Terzer's got that and more next.
This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. Pitt State is in the middle of a series with Rogers State. The series is currently even at 1 game apiece. The Gorillas aim to get a win on Senior Day today And boy, did they come ready to play. First inning, runners on first and second. Brett Daly homers to left center. And a few batters later, Braden Hinton hits a solo shot the same way. Quick 6-0 lead for PSU. Next inning, Garrett McGowan gets a good piece. It stays fair and hops over the wall for a double. Caden Fowler scores. But the Hillcats can't stop the long ball. Bonnell smashes it all the way to the softball field. Solo home run. Then Pitt loads the bases. Caleb Carr comes in to pinch hit. He hits a grand slam. It's like the home run derby out here. 15-0 after 3 innings. The girls continue to pour it on, stomping Rogers State 23-3. Missouri Southern struggled in Warrensburg this weekend against 4th-ranked Central Missouri. The Mules complete the sweep today, 11-3 over the Lions. Tommy Stevenson hit a 2-run home run, his second homer of the series and his 15th on the year. Jordan Fitzpatrick went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 runs scored. Missouri Southern's Brooke Stauffer played an important role in the Lions' historic season this past winter. And while she has finished her career as a player, she isn't going very far. Stauffer lands a position on Webb City's coaching staff. She will be an assistant coach in the girls program, helping with junior varsity and assisting head coach Lance Robbins at the varsity level.
I realized that, since I can no longer play, now I can, share my love for the game through other people. I just wanted to be able to do that and spill my heart for the game. I just want to make them the best players they can be and the best people they can be. I know that a lot of people put pressure on, basketball, but sometimes you just got to be that mentor to them.
Pitt State Outdoor Track and Field made their home debut this Saturday, hosting the 14th annual Gorilla Classic. The Gorillas took home 12 first-place finishes. Here are a few notable ones. The men's 4x100 meter relay team won the race with a time of 40.12 seconds. That breaks a school record set back in 2006. Christine Williams recorded the second fastest time in school history in the 200 meter dash. She won with a time of 23.76 seconds. And Madison Reese took first in the women's javelin. She hit a personal best with a throw reaching 101 feet and 11 inches. Missouri Southern won 4 events. It was a great day for Kiara Smith. She won the 100-meter hurdles for the second straight week, and she broke her own school record. Smith also helped the women's 4x400-meter relay team to a victory. The Lions had the second fastest time in Southern history on Saturday. For the men, Josh Fulmer won the hammer throw with an NCAA provisional qualifying distance of 62.47 meters. It's been an exciting start to the MLB season for the Kansas City Royals. Rookie Bobby Witt Jr. has been impressive, to say the least, and Kansas City picked up their second win of the season in walk-off fashion on Saturday. The Royals have a chance to clinch the series against the Guardians today. Cleveland, though, comes out with a vengeance. Oscar Mercado hits a grand slam in the first inning. They go up 6-0. More in the second. Ahmed Rosario finds a hole. 2-run score. This one gets pretty ugly. Cleveland wins 17-3. The Cardinals are up 2-0 in a 4-game series with the Pirates. Nolan Arenado goes down the line for a 2-run home run. St. Louis jumps out to a 3-0 lead. But then things take a turn. Michael Chavis has a chance with the bases loaded. He goes deep for a grand slam. We've seen quite a few of those today. Pittsburgh up 4-3. Then Kevin Newman finds grass in center. Diego Castillo scores. The Pirates take game 3, 9-4. Scotty Scheffler continues his incredible season with a win at the Masters today. Scheffler shot 10 under par for the tournament, winning by 3 strokes over runner-up Rory McIlroy. It's his first career major and 4th on the PGA Tour this season. That's it for sports. We're back after this.
The Capitol Hill community is sad this weekend. Animal control officials put down an aggressive fox which lived on the grounds and bit 9 people, including a congressman. Officials say the fox later tested positive for rabies. Fox News congressional correspondent Chad Pergram has this remembrance of the Capitol fox, which captured the hearts of Congress.
Those who work on Capitol Hill are mourning a tailblazer. This is the Russell Senate Park on Capitol Hill, close to the U.S. Capitol. It's where the Capitol fox lived with its kit in a den. This is a eulogy to the Capitol fox. We barely got to know you, Capitol Fox, but you were one of us among the thousands who work on Capitol Hill. The congressional aides, the police officers, the reporters. For just a few days, Capitol Fox, you pulled us away from the tedium of Capitol Hill. The committee hearings.
Finance Committee will come to order.
The roll call votes.
Mr. Bennett, aye.
The press conferences.
Open it to any questions.
You lived among us on the 60-acre expanse which surrounds the Capitol. Everyone pined to meet you, Capitol Fox. Have you seen the fox here on the Capitol grounds, Senator? You have? GOP Iowa Senator Joni Ernst caught a glimpse of you early one morning at the foot of Capitol Hill.
Little fox running through the park. I hope he doesn't get hit.
You pranced confidently across the Capitol grounds, your long tail in the air. We felt like we knew you, Capitol Fox, even if many of us weren't fortunate enough to see you, meet you, get nipped by you.
It's the weirdest thing. And then checked my pant leg. There was a small perforation. Didn't see any puncture of my skin or any blood or anything like that.
Doctors injected Barra with 7 shots after that encounter. Many rooted for the fox on the run to elude animal control. But although she was sly, they finally outfoxed her. Animal control euthanized the Capitol fox after too many faux pas or fox paws. And all many of us could say was whiskey, tango, foxtrot. For a few days here on Capitol Hill, everyone was thinking, outside the fox. Capitol Fox will never get you. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
I'm sorry, it's a cute story, but my goodness, I'm sad I never got to meet Capitol Fox. I feel like we need a KOAM Fox, a Television City Fox. We'll see what we can do. We'll be right back. A privately funded spacecraft has arrived at the International Space Station. The docking of the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft was delayed about 45 minutes Saturday morning as the crew worked through an issue with an onboard video camera. Now, procedures are underway for crews on the Dragon and the ISS to open the hatch and welcome the new arrivals. The Dragon lifted off late Friday morning from Kennedy Space Center in Florida for the 20-hour flight. On board is a group of 3 private-paying customers and a former NASA astronaut. 10-day trip is backed by Houston-based startup Axiom. So if you're ever looking to get into space, we're getting closer to that point of it being commercialized. I've told Cameron here in our studio, I've never once been on a plane because I'm terrified of flying. You've been on a plane. Would you get on a spaceship?
I would not.
You would not get on a spaceship. Nick, would you get on a spaceship?
You'd have to pay me to go up there.
Okay, so see, Nick's not willing to pay for the flight. He wants to be paid to go on the flight. I don't think you could pay me to do that, though. My fear of heights just, I'm not going. If I'm not getting in a plane, I'm not going into space. That is our time for now. We will see you again next weekend. Got the morning show at 7 a.m. And thanks for making us part of your night.